Hello, everyone. So, today we're going to be chatting about morning routines and morning habits and why they are essential for IBS and bloat relief. So, if you can think back to those maybe early COVID days when you were working from home, we used to roll out of bed and sit at our desk and chug a cup of coffee and get started on work. And maybe some of you are still doing that today. So, we're going to talk about why the first hour of your day is really so important when it comes to setting your gut and your nervous system up for success and really making sure that you're supporting your digestive health for the rest of the day and the days to come. So, we're going to go through a few key strategies and really habits that I recommend implementing in your morning that are actually realistic. And we'll talk about varying levels of implementing these habits so that you can help to really support a good bowel routine, have a good quality bowel movement, and essentially set up your nervous system on a positive note because we know that there's such a strong connection between your gut and your brain that making sure that you're down regulating your nervous system, getting yourself in a rest and digest response is really help you support IBS management and minimize your risk of bloating and more symptoms throughout the day. So let's get into it. The first thing is thinking about how we're waking up and what we're consuming in those first few moments of our morning. So I actually love the Sleep Cycle app. So this is a free app and there is a premium paid version, but the free app definitely gets you a lot of great tools. And essentially, this app is something where you can set a timer window to wake you up. You can set it between, I believe, 15 to 30 minutes, maybe a bit more than that. And what it does is essentially tracks your movement through your sleep. So you do have to keep your phone near your bed, but it picks up when you're in a lighter mode of sleep rather than in a deep sleep and will wake you up at your within your proposed window so that it's actually waking you up in a lighter sleep rather than a deep sleep. And a lot of people find that this actually just helps them to wake up a lot more calmly and feel more energized, more rested when they wake up, when they're not jolted out of a deep sleep, which can happen if you just use any alarm and you set it for a specific time, like 7:30 on the dot. You might find that opening or waking up within a specific window actually just helps you to wake up more energized and a bit more calm too. So this might depend on what's available to you and what time you start your workday, and it may not be realistic, but if you do have the ability to even set that 20-minute window, this could be a great way to just wake up a bit more calmly and even get a head start on feeling better for the day. The next aspect I really want you to think about is implementing screen-free time. So it can be so distressing, really, for our brain if we just wake up and we're bombarded with all this cognitive overwhelm by looking at our emails first thing, our boss telling us to do something, maybe scrolling on social media and seeing other people doing stuff and instantly having our brain filled with all of these things that maybe aren't relevant to us right away. So I really recommend, if you want to make this, is probably the most important point I'm going to make in this episode, is to really implement screen-free time in your morning. So I like to set my phone on do not disturb, have this on for most of the day, but especially overnight. That way, when you pick up your phone, even to turn off your alarm or check the time in the morning, you won't see a bunch of notifications on the front of your screen. So you'll just see the time and you'll just be able to turn off your alarm, or if you're using the Sleep Cycle app, be able to shut that off. And trust me, give this maybe even 2 or 3 days and really reflect on how you feel when you don't wake up and scroll on your phone first thing. I really, really want you to see how much this helps, improve your mood and even reduce levels of anxiety and stress by just taking a break from the screen. You'll get to look at it later, but making sure that it's not something that you're consuming first thing and while you're waking up and still in bed. The other benefit to this too is that you may find that it actually helps support your focus and your overall clarity when you just wake up and just let your brain take in the light. Whatever thoughts will naturally flow into your head, and just focus on how you're feeling and get out of bed without using any screens or any distractions. a lot of people find that this actually just helps them to be more consistent with the other habits that will help you to feel good for the day. So as we'll get into, hydration and movement and getting sunlight, because your time is not taken up by automatically scrolling on your phone or your device. And for those of you who are thinking like, oh, well, I need to get a head start on the day, I want to see my emails, chances are you're not going to be productive and at your best looking at your phone first thing in the morning. So why not just take a break and put it away? So I recommend even starting with 15 minutes of screen-free time if this is new to you. But ideally, I would work up to getting at least an hour of screen-free time before you get into all that stuff and just focusing on the things that your body needs and that self-care to set yourself up for success for the day. So this brings us into our next point, which is hydration. So what we want to avoid doing is jumping into caffeinated beverages right away. So jumping into coffee or jumping into tea, for example. And we want to make sure we're getting a head start on our hydration. So overnight, you've been fasting, you probably weren't taking anything in unless you were getting up to have some small sips of water, but that's why it's so essential to really start your day with some water and some hydration. So I recommend after you get out of bed, maybe you go to the kitchen. It can be helpful to keep like a pitcher of water there so that you see it visually, or even pour a cup the night before, and trying to get in around 16 ounces of water to kickstart your hydration for the day. We're always more successful when we set our day up for success rather than trying to catch up later in the day. And the same goes with hydration too. So I would definitely recommend starting your day with some water. The other benefit of this too is that drinking some fluids can also help stimulate the digestive process. So it may also contribute to a better bowel movement, which of course, when we have IBS is something that we want to prioritize. And when it comes to bloating, we know that when we've emptied out properly, that also makes a big difference in bloating and how we feel. You may be wondering, do I need to add lemon? Are there any like tinctures that I should be adding? I suggest just keep it simple. Focus on the water, focus on the hydration, and make that a consistent habit. And then if you want to add something for some flair, or if that helps you to be more consistent with it, then you can. So lemon juice, there's a benefit of some vitamin C. It helps the water taste a little bit better. Is it a superfood? No. Is it going to make or break your hydration? Probably not, but you can add it if you find that it makes the water more enjoyable and then makes you more likely to drink it. The next component of a morning routine to help with IBS and bloat relief would be sun exposure. So sunlight has gotten a lot of attention in the last few years. There's been some, key health podcasters and wellness gurus that have talked about the benefits of sunlight, but this isn't just hype. There actually is good quality science behind it. So by viewing direct sunlight, ideally within the first hour of your day, the benefit of this is that it actually sends a message to the master clock in your brain and tells your brain that it is daytime, and to essentially put in motion a series of hormone timers that can help you to, one, have more energy and focus throughout the daytime, but it also sets in motion a timer for melatonin release around 16 hours after you view that sunlight. And melatonin is your sleep hormone. So when we have more natural melatonin production at nighttime, that helps us to get better quality rest, fall asleep easier, and get more deep sleep, which, what does that mean? That means that the next day and the next morning, we're going to feel more rested and we're going to have a better and more productive morning. So when it comes to direct sun exposure, this means directly in your eyes. So not through sunglasses or not sitting by a window, fortunately, or driving in a car, but actually getting outside and seeing the sunlight in your eyes. It will be much stronger if you get it on a sunny day. So around 5 to 10 minutes would be a good target to aim for of direct sun. If it is a cloudy day, there is still lots of sun and it's still going to be brighter than any indoor lighting. So around 15 to 20 minutes is what you want to aim for. There are specific light pads you can get online. There's like the sun lamp, but there are light pads that can mimic the amount of lux of the sun. I think it's somewhere around 25,000, but I'll have to check on that. So if you're someone who has to wake up really early, I know I have some clients that work shift work, or they work in a lab and they have to get up and be at work before the sun comes out. This could be an option for you too, and it can definitely be really helpful. And to make this more enjoyable, you could stack it with another habit. So even movement, as we'll get into, maybe you go out for a short 10-minute walk, nothing big. Or maybe if you have a porch or you live in an apartment or a condo and you can stand outside on your balcony. I know personally I've done this in the winter or in the rainy days. You can stand and maybe just do some stretching and some mobility and get some sunlight in your eyes. Trust me, that 5-10 minutes will make all the difference just by getting some sun before you really start the rest of your day. So the next piece of the morning routine would be adding some movement. So it does not have to be anything crazy. If you don't like to work out in the morning, you don't have to, or if maybe it's not realistic to always get your full workout in the morning, that's okay. But I would just suggest even doing something gentle. So again, to get that sunlight, maybe you go out for a short walk around the block, or even standing outside and doing some mobility work. So I find that just getting some movement helps to support motility. So it can also help support your bowel routine. But we know that movement is good for mood, right? If we just wake up and then we crawl right into our desk and then we're stiff for the rest of the day, it's going to lead us to feel pretty tight. So even just getting our blood flowing, that can help one with your mood and your mental health, which also supports your digestion through the gut-brain connection. But it can also even reduce some tension around your abdominal area where your digestive organs are housed and just help things to relax more and can actually improve bloating throughout the day. I personally love to do every day at least a short walk and some mobility, even if it's just 10 minutes. And there are certain poses or movements that you can do that will also help to reduce that abdominal tension. So things like your cat-cow, your spinal twist, even shoulder rolls are great, upward dog, downward dog, just some easy things that you can do, whatever makes it easy for you. So maybe you live in a condo and there's a gym, you could pop down there for 10 minutes and then go for a walk. Or if the weather is nice outside, maybe there's a local park or green space, you could do a short walk and then do some of your mobility movement outside. It can be very easy and very enjoyable. So something to keep in mind as well. Again, if you like to work out in the morning and you have that time, you can definitely incorporate that in your morning routine, and that's a great way to start the day too. But it doesn't have to be a crazy workout. Even just getting a short walk and doing a little bit of things to get your joints mobilized and help your abdominal tract relax, that can make a huge difference in the day. The next component of a morning routine to help relieve IBS and bloat is having some time, some comfortable time with a warm drink. So we know that warm drinks, even coffee or things like ginger tea or herbal teas, if you don't like caffeine, pairing that with some relaxed time can really help you to stimulate a bowel movement. So even if this means then starting your workday and having a warm drink and you're comfortable at home, this counts. Or if you have to go into the office for the day, maybe carving a little bit of time to have that warm drink. You could pair it with reading a little bit of a book, or maybe this is when you incorporate some screens. But again, I would try to keep it things that are positive. So maybe looking at good news or reading some positive articles or a book on your phone. And just taking maybe even just 20 to 30 minutes to let your rest and digest system turn on and help to stimulate some time to have a bowel movement. So this can be really, really helpful. Again, the drink works for you. Some people do enjoy their coffee in the morning, which is totally cool, or even doing other warm drinks like a ginger tea or a black tea can be great. So the heat can really encourage the digestive system to contract. And then also if there is caffeine in it, can act as a stimulant, which can help increase intestinal muscle movement. So for those of you with constipation who struggle with more infrequent bowel movements, this can be a really good one for you. Again, just having some time to relax and help our nervous system regulate, and the rest and digest response can help support a regular bowel movement. And then something else to think about. So number 7 actually on our list here would be to create a comfortable bathroom space to have a good bowel routine. So this is more of like a long-term solution, and it can be something that you put in place so that it works for your morning. But I always suggest keeping your bathroom nice and clean, even if you could put in some, plants that work well in low light spaces or some fake plants just to have some feelings of nature, which we know can help us to just feel calm and support mood. Keeping your bathroom clean and tidy. We know that clutter-free spaces just actually helps our mind to relax and feel more at ease when we don't see that sort of physical clutter. It helps with mental clutter too. And then, of course, one of my favorite tools would be to have a squatty potty. So that's essentially a stool that helps to put you in a squat position when you have a bowel movement. So there actually is a lot of good evidence behind this too. So the idea is that the squatty potty can help increase your rectal canal angle from 100 degrees, which is what it will be if you're just sitting on a regular toilet and your feet are flat on the ground and your knees are level with your hips, to around 120 degrees. So when we increase the angle, this essentially means that our rectum, which is the last part in our large bowel, opens up. And when we want to have a bowel movement, we want to open up that angle, which helps to have a more pleasant and more full evacuation. So the idea too is that when we squat during a bowel movement, then our sit bones are able to separate. And this allows our anal sphincter, which helps release the stool from our colon, to fully expand and helps waste move through with the help of gravity. So there actually was a 2019 study, which I can link below, where they looked at 52 participants who recorded their bowel movements for 4 weeks. And after using the Squatty Potty for 2 weeks, the participants reported increased bowel emptiness, reduced draining patterns, and reduced bowel movement duration, so less time in the bathroom. So if that isn't enough to convince you, I don't know what is. So squatty potties are great, or even just using another stool that puts you into a squat position. Again, we want knees elevated above your hips. They're a great tool for everyone, not just for constipation, but for diarrhea as well, just to prevent any straining. And again, to put your colon in a more optimal angle for a better quality bowel movement, because really the key to a good day is having a good, successful bowel movement. So why not increase our chances of that with all the tools that we can, right? And then the final component of a morning routine to set our gut and nervous system up for success would be a fueling breakfast. So a breakfast that helps us to feel our best should be one that helps support stable blood sugar levels. This means that we're going to have more regular energy through the day. And it is important to eat something in the morning. You don't have to eat something right away. I usually suggest you could wait an hour or two till you have some appetite. That is totally cool. But we don't want to be skipping meals or waiting a really long time to eat and getting to the point where we're low blood sugar and we're ready to crash and then eating something. We want to make sure that we're fueling earlier. And part of the reason for that is it just sends our brain and our body a signal of safety when we are fueling, that it's like, okay, I've got enough fuel. I feel calm. Nervous system feels like it can downregulate, and it actually can help set up better mood and just a more calm nervous system for the day when we do get in some fuel, and let our body know that it's okay and it's not in starvation mode. You've got enough to support the daily processes that your body needs to go through and all the resources that it needs. So the components of a blood sugar balancing breakfast that will work for most people would be a good dose of protein. So I would suggest, for most people, and it could be more depending on your age, your goals, or how active you are, but most people would benefit from aiming to get at least 30 grams of protein in your breakfast on that first meal of the day. Again, it doesn't have to be first thing when you wake up. You can wait a little bit till you have some appetite, but getting in a good dose of protein, super great for helping us to regulate blood sugar levels and sending your body a signal of safety. The other component would be some fiber. So doing things like our rolled oatmeal or chia, different fruits, vegetables also helps us to feel satiated and support regular blood sugars. And then the other component would be some healthy fats. So things like our chia or flaxseed, even small amounts of avocado, egg yolks, those also help with satiety and set us up for success. Of course, if you have IBS or gut issues, you may be following certain dietary restrictions or have foods that you don't eat. So this needs to be a combination of foods that's going to work for you. This is definitely something that I work with a lot of my clients on in my Gut Harmony Method program. So making sure that we're not restricting more than we need to, but we're setting you up with specific meals and certain foods that feel best for you, and take into account your individual food intolerances, but still making sure we're covering all your nutrient bases and we're making sure that your meals are giving your body what it needs so that we can help support your gut brain connection and nervous system and overall health too. So there's definitely ways to make this work for you depending on your food tolerances and your needs. And that's definitely why working with a registered dietitian can be so helpful as well. So that brings us to the end of our sort of ideal morning routine and habits that we want to think about including. All of these can be really simple and they don't need to take an excessive amount of time. So I would say all in probably around an hour to an hour and a half. So while you may, have a rushed morning, or maybe you're always catching up on sleep, I would suggest even just carving that hour can be so impactful for the rest of the day and making that work for you. One thing I do want to highlight here, because when it comes to routines, yes, they all sound amazing, and we've seen what our favorite influencers doing online and their routines look amazing, and it's 20 different steps and we wish we could do that every day. The truth is that most of us lead very busy lives, and having an ideal routine every day may not be realistic for you. So I love the concept of ABC routines. So this was actually inspired from Sahil Bloom from his book, The 5 Types of Wealth, where he recommends the ABC approach to routine. So I'll include the book link in the show notes here. So he feels that every routine should have an A, B, and C level. So A is your ideal routine, where everything somehow goes perfectly to plan. B is your baseline routine, one that you can just pull off on an average day. And C is like bare bones, essential, when maybe something goes off track, this is what you aim to include. So maybe your ideal routine is doing it all, waking up mindfully, hydration. Maybe you get in that, kick butt workout for 45 minutes, or you go on your run, you feel amazing, you have some time with your coffee to journal and have a great bowel movement. That's your A, that's your ideal routine. Maybe B is paring it back a little bit. So of course, still hydrate, because we know that is key. Waking up mindfully, maybe you get 5 minutes of sun and a short walk, and then have some quiet time with your warm drink to start your day. And then maybe C routine is even more compacted. So you wake up, have some water, stand outside for 5 minutes, do a little mobility, and maybe you grab your coffee to go and you take it on the train with you and you do some reading. And then at work, you have your bowel movement. But maybe you weren't able to get in the perfect workout or all of the steps there, but at least you got in some key things that are going to help set your day up. So you avoided screens, you got in your hydration, you had some sunlight, just those key essentials, and included them there. So I find this really helpful, even for myself. I'm very busy running a business, I'm very active. I train over 10 hours a week, have a busy social life, and sometimes my morning routine is not always perfect. But for me, I have those essentials that I do every day, rain or shine. I always wake up without screens, always hydrate. I get my sunlight, go outside, mobility, even if it's just 5 minutes, take a shower, make my breakfast, and then settle into my workday. Because I know that if I skip those habits, then I'm just not going to feel great for the rest of the day. So those are essential to me. And on an ideal day, I'm able to go for a longer run or do a workout, or, take a longer walk outside, have more time before I jump into work. But I find it helpful to think about the ABC routines and not always aiming for it to be exactly perfect when you go through it. So just to wrap things up, takeaway here is that really the first hour of your day is so important and really will make such a difference when it comes to your mood and your mental health and your digestion for the remainder of the day. So I encourage you to think about some ways that you can, set your day up on a more positive note. Try out some of these strategies that I've mentioned here and really launch your day with good intentions and giving your gut the best chance at success. So I'd love to know what you found helpful in this episode, or what you're currently doing and what you may be adding to your morning routines or your morning habits. You can leave a comment in the show notes below, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye for now.